Hey, oh my god, my phone's like buzzing. It's not popular. It's gonna give me anxiety if I don't turn it off.
Where is it?
Hi, hey. Hi guys, welcome to today's YouTube video. And no, this title is not clickbait. I really don't know what I titled this video just because this story that I'm about to tell is a disaster. The worst story ever to ever happen to me, and you guys love that. As you can see by my 2 top viewed videos, almost dying from plasma donation and walking out on people having sex in college. You guys love those 2 videos. Don't really know why, but I'm gonna give you another story time and maybe it'll crack the Adam charts and hit top 3. But yeah, I don't know what I titled this video, but whatever happened, this video is about the time that I did almost get jumped twice by a conservative redneck hick on a snowmobile trail because my friend drove their van into a snow thing, and yeah, it's a shit show. So I'm just gonna try to not talk about anything else because this is a very super long story. So go grab popcorn, pause it, get a drink, and let's just dive into the video. Okay, so one day I was at one of my friends, Bria Peeper's house. You guys know Bria if you ever watch my YouTube channel. Almost actually everyone that I've mentioned in this video has been in a video, so I'm gonna say their real names. So I was hanging out with my friend Bria one night, and we were hanging out with a group of friends. It was me, my friend Bria, my other friend Jillian, her boyfriend Pearson, Jillian's sister Allison, Bria's cousin, but also cousins with Pearson, Alex, and then Prayla, who is also their cousin that's younger. I'm kind of like the lone man out. I mean, I obviously know all of them. I was friends with all of them, but all of us were hanging out, and this was back in 2019, and it was a awful winter. I mean, we get school cancellations all the time, and so one of these nights, it was a school cancellation, so we were all hanging out at Bria's house because this is what this group of people would do during that time, or at least during that time period, and we all decided to go for a fun little drive, even though that school was canceled the day before because of a snowstorm, and we're like, oh, let's go drive 20 minutes away to some place. And at first, they were trying to surprise me to where we wanted to go. And there's only 2 places in Merrill that people like drive to. It's called Pratt Road, which is like a scary haunted road. Nothing has ever happened to me there. And then the Estonian church. And it's basically like this abandoned church that people go to, and it's really, really creepy. And they thought that it was a good idea to go. So at first, I get in the car and I'm expecting them to drive me somewhere. And I guess I didn't really know, but then they gave the clue, okay, should we take him to P or E? And the only 2 things with like P and E are Pratt Road and Estonian church, and that's what's like infamous for Merrill people. So I obviously knew that those are one of the 2. And I let them know, okay, hey, I know that we're going to either Pratt Road or the Estonian church. I don't want to go to Pratt Road because there's a snowstorm and it's like a long dirt road. So if we're gonna go somewhere, let's go to the Estonian church. So everyone decides, okay, we're gonna go to the Estonian church, the haunted church. And also, side note, Bria just got her license probably like a day before, so there are 7 people in the car. She's driving. Temps are like not, she's not following temps. So we're almost to the Estonian church, and when you pull in, there are 2 ways that you can go. You can take a left, which isn't a road. It's not a road. You can tell that it is not a road, and it doesn't lead anywhere. It's a snowmobile trail. That is where you can take a left. And then there's a right, which is the obvious road, where it says, welcome to the Estonian church right outside it. It's a nice shoveled path that you can drive through. And so Bria pulls in, and she has to decide if she's going left or right. So she asks everyone what way to go, and obviously it's the right road. So I tried to inform her. I'm like, oh, hey Bria, you want to take a right. You don't want to go on the not road that isn't even close to being a road. You do not want to take that. Go right. Allison, Jillian's sister, speaks up, and she lets the world know that it's the left. That she is confident. Like, she is confident that it's left. She's like, it's left. And I sit there, I'm like, no, that is not a road. It's for sure right. Like, no. Allison goes, no, left. Take it. Take a left. So I'm trying at this point, I'm like, you guys know we need to take a right. We do not need to go left. So Jillian jumps on board with Allison, is like, okay, let's go left. And then Pearson, dating Jillian, goes to the left. Everyone's screaming at Bria to go to this left road. Not a road. And at this point, I'm like, whatever. Honestly, whatever. Let's take this left. So Bria, taking a huge van filled with 7 people, takes the left. which is in a road, which is not a road. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say it, but it wasn't. So they're driving, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, how do I convince these people that this is not gonna lead us anywhere? So I pulled up on Snap Map, there's two roads, or like there's like a forest and then the actual roads. I'm showing her, I'm like, hey, you guys, look, I told you we need to take the right. So Maria's like, okay, you guys, let's back up, let's get out of here. And so she presses in the brake, and the van completely sinks into the snow. So I'm like, oh crap. Of course this is happening. We're stuck, and an abandoned haunted church is right next to us. We're in the middle of the woods in a town that is kind of a sketch town. So, but by the way, we were probably driving for about like a half a mile, maybe like a mile in before we broke. So we were in there deep. So I'm just kind of sitting there and I'm enjoying this little hustle of a night. So all of a sudden we are sitting in the van, and we didn't know what the road was. We didn't know where we really were. All of a sudden 2 lights start coming towards our van, and it's in the middle of the woods. And I'm like, oh shit, this is a UFO. Oh my God, I was certain we were all getting abducted. I literally thought for sure that that was an alien. So we're all sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you guys, there's like lights coming at us. And it's not like 2 car lights, like it's like 1 light and like another light. So they're driving. And eventually they get closer. It turns out to be snowmobilers. And they're like, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is a snowmobile trail. I'm like, oh my gosh, of course we're in a snowmobile trail, of course. So luckily those 2 snowmobilers were extremely nice, and they tried digging out our van, and we couldn't get it out. Brie is now having a panic attack because this is her mom's van. This is her first time driving. Allison and Jillian are always like fighting. So those 2 are fighting because they're sisters. Pearson's like all over Jillian. Alex is kind of just remaining silent, and Prayla's kind of remaining silent. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this isn't good. Like this is like this isn't good. Eventually the snowmobilers are like, okay, we're not gonna be able to get it out, but here's a phone that has reception. Let us call you a tow truck. But before Bria called the tow truck place, she wanted to call her mom because she wanted to ask like what tow truck company to use. So she calls her mom, and her mom is like freaking out. She's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you sunk our van. Like, this is not good. I'm driving there, I'll be there soon. And she's like, call your grandpa. And she's like so confused. She's like, why would I call my grandpa? Like, I don't know. He owns a tow truck company. Bria had no clue that her grandpa owned a tow truck company. So they call him, and he starts coming, and we said to the snowmobilers, thank you guys so much for letting us use your phones. You guys can go, like, thank you. And so they went on their way. And we all kind of sit in the van like, oh my gosh, this is not going well. And it was just like awkward, super awkward vibes. Everyone was stressed. We all wanted to kill each other. So eventually we're sitting in our car, and we're in so deep that like you can't see the road from where we are. So we can't see like what cars are there and what cars are not there. And all of a sudden Bria's mom starts coming up from the road. We're all in the van. We're like, oh my gosh, it's Gina. And Gina is freaking out. And I would have freaked out too if my van was sunk in a snowmobile trail. So I totally get it, girl. So she was freaking out, and she's like, this is not good. Like, I cannot believe our van's in the snow, like a foot deep in the snow, like it's buried. And then she informs us when she was walking up that the tow truck guy was stuck as well. So we have the tow truck stuck. Gina's upset, and we're like, oh my gosh, like this is really not good. And Gina brings her car with, and she tells all of us to get out of our car and go into hers so we can sit there while she tries to figure out how we're gonna do this. So Jillian, Allison, Bria, Alex, and Prayla, they all decide to go back to the car, and me and Pearson kind of stood back by the van to kind of like calm Gina down because she was not doing well. She was not doing well. So we're trying to calm her down, and eventually we're like, okay, like we're gonna go back to the cars. So we kind of start the hike back through the trail back to the main road, and you can kind of see like Jillian and Allison and all of them out in front of us. More snowmobiles are coming the opposite direction. So not from the woods, but from the road, and they're coming up fast. Like, they are flying. All of the girls are kind of just like walking in the middle of the road, completely ignoring this snowmobile flying through. And all of a sudden they get super close, and you can just see all of them jump to the snowbank. All of them literally jumped. And the snowmobile guy kind of like swerves and brakes and stops. And Pearson, dating Jillian, is like acting like super like buff and tough. And he's like, I can't believe that they just almost hit my girlfriend. Like, he is like very like upset. He's so mad that this is happening, and I'm just kind of like standing there like, oh my gosh, like this is not the time. Like, everyone calm down, settle. Eventually, the snowmobilers kept on driving after, and they see us and they stop to talk to us. So this is where it gets really, really good and fun. So the snowmobilers stop, okay, and they get out and they have these helmets on and they have their suits, so I can't really tell what they look like. And one of them goes talking to Pearson, and one of them comes up to me. And the one that comes up to me is like, oh, like what happened? What were you guys doing out here? And I was like, oh, you know, we were just trying to get to the Estonian church and we took a wrong turn and now we have our van stuck. And he was being very, very polite about it. And then all of a sudden he asks me, oh my gosh, are you Lucas's little brother? And my older brother, I have an older brother, everyone, his name's Lucas. And I go, yeah, that is my older brother. And he's like, oh my gosh, we ran track, or it was wrestling. They either ran track or they did wrestling together back in high school. I'm like, oh my gosh, how has he been? And I was like, oh, he's doing super, super good. And so we're kind of like talking about my brother, just kind of having like a normal conversation. And all of a sudden I can see Pearson start walking back into the road, okay? So he's leaving. So I'm like, oh, my friend's heading out. It was nice talking to you. Have a good day. And I try walking through, okay? So then the other snowmobiler does shove the other snowmobiler that I was talking to into the snowbank. Shoves, like, rows into the snowmobile trail. So now he's coming at me in like full force, and he is living. Like, he's not doing well. He's really, really mad. So he's yelling, he's like, what are you guys doing out here? I could get arrested, blah, 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 blah. Like, freaking out. Like, and I was kind of just like so confused. And you can't see their facial expression or like even see their face at all. They just have the helmet on. So I'm being super naive. I'm like, oh, he's just like joking about this. like he's just raising his voice for no reason. I'm like, oh yeah, we kind of just got like stuck, like, sorry. And I was kind of like saying it like, I don't know, like, it's not, I was not taking it as serious as this person was. And he's like, if you think this is some sort of joke, I will punch you in the face as hard as I can right here, right now. And then I was like, wait a second, what's going on? I'm like, what's going on? So at this point I realized, okay, this is not good. And eventually the other guy gets up and is like, don't punch him. I know who this is. Do not hit him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not good. So eventually I'm scared. I'm terrified. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, Pearson, Pearson, like, hello, can you come back and help me? Like, I'm stuck, like, he's right here. There's no way for me. I'm not running away from him. I am slower than a freaking caterpillar. Like, I'm not sprinting against a snowmobiler back to the road because I will lose and my ass will get tossed. At this point, I'm like begging. I'm like, don't hit me. Please don't punch me. I don't know what's going on. He's like, so he puts his hand on my shoulder and he's like, okay, tell me what happened, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I told him the story again. I'm like, hey, listen, we literally were just trying to get to the Estonian church and we took a wrong turn and we didn't know this was a snowmobile trail, please. Like, please stop. And he's like, why did your buddy start cussing at me about this one girl? And I was like, oh my God, of course he did. So Pearson upsetted this guy about him almost running over Jillian, and so he took the backlash on me, and I was just like, I'm super, super sorry. And then eventually he tells me that he needs to get out of here because he's drunk and he cannot be getting caught on a snowmobile. I'm like, perfect. I'm super, super great that both of these people are wasted on the snowmobile trail. Like, honestly, I wasn't shocked though. I tried to like piece him out and be like, okay, like I'm gonna leave. And he's like, no, you have to stay here until they get here. And I'm like very, very confused. And he's like, man, I'm just kidding with you. Like, you're good. And I was like, okay, like I'm gonna head out. And then I tried like walking away like fast. And then he flips his switch again. And he's like, why are you trying to run away so fast from me? And I'm just like literally panicking. Like, this is the snowmobile, okay? I'm literally going around the snowmobile, like dodging him. And then I start walking away extremely fast. So I'm getting out of the road and all my friends are waiting and Pearson's standing right there. And I'm like, Pearson, why did you just go? Like, what was the point of just leaving? Like, I was stranded. I was screaming for your name to come help me because I was terrified and I was like shaking super, super bad. It was very, very scary. And he's like, well, I just didn't want anyone to talk to my girl like that, so I had to tell him what was up. And I was just like, I was just so so frustrated. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm like, awesome, cool, thanks so much for your help. And we all jump into Bria's mom's car, which fits 5 people. And Bria's mom also decided to bring her dog, her Rottweiler with. So all 7 of us are stuck in her car now. And we're kind of just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that happened. And at this point, it was pretty chaotic. Another tow truck came and they got stuck. And just like another resident brings their truck to try to get the tow truck out and they get stuck in front. So we have this truck, 2 tow truck companies, and then ours way deep in the woods. And at this point, everyone in Gleason's there. I mean, it's probably like at least 50 people, 70 people, and it's a very, very small town, are there kind of like conjugating. What's the word, conjugating? When they're all like in, they all come to this part of the woods. And I'm expecting all this to be over and someone taps on our window, taps on the front window. And you can see his face, like you can see who it is. And I roll down the window and he's like, oh, are you guys the kids that got stuck in the forest or that got stuck in the woods? And we're like, yeah, that's us. And he's like, oh, I just want to say I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh, what are you sorry for? And he's like, oh, I was the snowmobilers that were back there. Because I didn't see his face. No one saw his face because they had these helmets on. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, it's okay, like no biggie. And I kind of had like, I have a higher pitched voice, it's true, sorry. And he changes. All of a sudden you can see death on his face. And it was like someone left his body. And he goes, are you gay? And I kind of sit there and I'm like, yeah, I'm gay. Yes, correct. And at this point, I had the window down. He like puts his head in the car and we're all scrunched in. So he's like right there. He's like, are you blankety blank serious? You can fill in blankety blank. And at this point I go, nope. I go, no, I'm not, no, not gay, not me, I could never be, And I'm immediately terrified again. I'm like, oh my God, here it comes again. And so I grab my friend Bria's hand and I go, well, look, she's my girlfriend, we're dating, promise, we're dating, like we are good. So he sticks his head like further into the car and he says some very vulgar things and he goes, it sounds like your boyfriend likes blankety blank. You can fill in the words. And so my friend Bria, we love her, she goes, I don't think he does, as we're holding hands. I don't think he likes blankety blank. Like, I don't think so. It was super, super awkward. And he's like, gay people deserve to rot and like all the shit. And I'm just like sitting here and everyone's remaining silent. Luckily, Queen Allison goes, you cannot speak to him like that, from the back seat. Thank you, Allison. And Jillian goes, Allison, you can't speak against him. About this guy talking to me, literally like coming at me with insults left and right. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, rude. So thank you, Allison, for having my back, girl. Love you. Eventually they let us know that the van will not be leaving that night and it has to stay in the snow. Me and Bria decided to jump with the tow truck guy because the tow truck guy got out, Bria's grandpa got out. So me and Bria jumped in his tow truck and then Bria's mom and the rest of the people went off back to her house. Yeah, it was so scary. It was so terrifying. But yeah, that is the story of how I almost got jumped twice in the matter of 30 minutes by the same guy, and it was scary. Didn't like it. Wasn't a good time. That's the video. That's the story time. That's what happened. I have many, many more. If you want to hear some crazy stories, let me know in the comments below. Comment something. Comment 1, 2, 3. But I hope you guys liked the video. If you liked it, make sure to leave it a big thumbs up and a comment down below. Hit the bell. Yada, yada, yada. It's so weird. I feel like you guys love these videos more than like my traveling videos. I'll travel and spend like so much money and it'll take hours to edit and hours to film. And then I'll like sit down, film this, edit it in like a quick hour. And then you guys are like, oh, genius, a new favorite. So please make this happen to this one. Please, you know you want to, but yeah. I'm gonna end this video here, guys. Love you all so much. And I will see you next week, Thursday, for another new video as always. Never lose the dream and stay chill. Take me to your best friend's house.